Hello and welcome to a new session of the FIWARE Smart Fest 2022. We heard all about data spaces already from 10 a.m. today in the morning, but we will go on now with the acceleration of data spaces in smart industry, smart logistics, I'm sorry. And for that, we will have three guests today with me. We will have a use case from the Central Bureau of Statistics in the Netherlands. Gerard van der Heuven will be having a short keynote, and he's the director of the iShare Foundation, which is also part of the i4Trust project. We will then go on with use case data values for collaborative urban logistics by Javi Esquior from Caterpillar IT. And last but not least, we will have a quite new member of the FIWARE community. It is Nikolai Pappert from EDAG, who will tell us a little bit about the EDAG Citybot and why it needs data spaces. And yeah, in the end, I will do a quick wrap up of the session. And yes, I'm really happy to have you all here. Enjoy the session. If you still want to learn anything about the data spaces creation using FIWARE technology, I can only recommend the FIWARE for Data Spaces position paper. You can find it on our website under marketing material. And yeah, with that, I will go over to Gerard. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Max, and really great to be here at the FIWARE Smart Fest. My first time speaking at the Smart Fest, and I'm really too happy to share what we've been doing in the Netherlands. But first of all, like you started already, we are collaborating closely with FIWARE, because together with FIWARE and Funding Box, we run the i4Trust program, explaining and helping data spaces really to be created in line with all the principles, and where components by iShare and FIWARE really complete each other in creating data spaces. And I wanted to show how that's done and what iShare means in that specific case, and how iShare brings value to the data spaces in general. Because iShare is a trust framework in the basis. So iShare provides trust and legal certainty for organizations collaborating in a data space. As a trust anchor within that data space, iShare allows you to check whether parties are trusted in that data space. Basically, the participation register as it's done also in IDS. And we're scaling up, tremendously, I would say, because we started back in 2015 already in setting up that trust framework. And now, especially with the collaboration with FIWARE and i4Trust, we're really expanding in terms of locations. But especially in the Netherlands, we've been developing for a while. iShare is embraced totally by the Dutch government, especially on the side of the infrastructure and water, which of course in the Netherlands is important, where iShare is used as access mechanism and trust mechanism to share data between organizations and between governments and organizations. And next to that, iShare is used by the Ministry of Economic Affairs to also collect and work with energy data. So a good foundation and a proven structure to have a trusted way of collaboration. And we're scaling that fast that we expect by the end of this year to have the data sets of over 1 million organizations within the network available, and driving those organizations to authorize others to actually use that data, and with that enabling data sovereignty in the purest form. Few components of iShare that are good to share. It's the legal part and the iShare satellites that enable that trust anchor and making sure that you as a data space can start. And since we started this in logistics, it made sense to also share this in this specific track in how it's used in the logistics data space. But it's not only for that logistics. We are in operation in Dutch logistics, but also in Belgian logistics, but also in other segments, because the iShare framework and the participant ledger is cross-cutting over the different sectors, and with that, driving cross-collaboration and discovery over data spaces, and not only over data spaces, but also across segments and countries. And good to share that iShare in that sense is data model agnostic. We support the different data models, and it's totally open for data space developers to go forward and use it in whatever form. So now let's jump into that specific case on the Central Bureau of Statistics in the Netherlands. And I think you've seen the open DI model earlier today in the previous presentations. And that's where it's good to share how that is used in this specific case as well. Because in this case, well, of course, there's the part where iShare plays a role. So that on the identity side, the trusted exchange / the trust anchor, and that authorization part to authorize third parties to access your data. And in this specific case, it's the Central Bureau of Statistics, the reporting entity for the Dutch government that is requesting access to existing data throughout a bigger value chain to collect statistics on specific logistics movements. But next to that, well, they of course need specific data. So the case is, and that this is currently live, of course, I would say, is about the reporting of modalities. What kind of traffic is going on the road, on waters, inland waters, and rail. And to be able to collect that information, the Central Bureau of Statistics usually send out letters and emails to organizations to retrieve reporting from their actual traffic in a specific period, usually on a monthly basis. But now they structured it in a data space way, because the data is already available in cloud services and service providers that are out there today. So terminals, outland terminals, inland terminals already opened up with existing APIs. And by the use of iShare, the data owners, so the owners of containers, actually authorize the Central Bureau of Statistics to access their data, which is stored on those locations. So what I wanted to do quickly in a few steps is showing how that process actually works and make it really practical. So CBS no longer needs to send letters and reach out to that data owner, because in the iShare network, they can now discover if a data owner is already sharing data for this specific service. And if he reaches out to the service provider that is providing that service and storing that data of that data owner, he just reaches out and in that whole process, trust is validated against the iShare network and the iShare ledger. With that data exchange, of course, the data standard is chosen by the use case and the data space itself. Like, for instance, the data models that are in the Smart Data Models initiative by FIWARE as well. But key to that whole exchange is that the next step, prior to sharing any data of a data owner, the data provider always validates against authorization registry. Authorization registry is a federated role, again, where parties on their choice register their authorizations, but not in a clunky way. They actually get a message from their authorization registry. Hey, I get a request for your data set. Do you want to authorize the Central Bureau of Statistics to read those fields with this specific time period and data set? If the data owner on that basis gives an okay on that authorization, yes, I want to authorize CBS, but I want to limit them to use it only for their own reporting, then the okay is delivered to the data provider, and the data provider can share that information in a totally data sovereign way, controlled by the trust framework based on the legal basis that iShare brings, and based on the data standard that's chosen in this specific data space. And with that, the Central Bureau of Statistics really saves a lot of time and money in the collection of data, and well, saving all those organizations as well, because usually they had to make those reports by hand, which now is not the case anymore. They can just authorize organizations, not only Central Bureau of Statistics, but also the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water and other organizations to have their existing data, but under their control. So this is data sovereignty in reality. And this is not the only case. We also have cases in other segments, like I mentioned before. So with that, I wanted to share how that's done today. But stressing also that I share in that sense is just a nonprofit enabling that trust framework, and it's all governed by data spaces. The data spaces are in our council of participants, in our council of sponsors, and our change advisory board. And with that, developing how this trust anchor actually works and becomes better. And with that, we're so happy to work with FIWARE and many other leading organizations in the data spaces world, because this is really driving how you govern a data space in a federated way. And with that, in line, of course, with what's happening with OpenDay. So that was the case I wanted to share how we are actually moving forward. And using iShare in reality, not only in logistics, but also in other sectors, but especially logistics. We are from that segment and have a proven position in that. On that basis, I would say back to you, Max.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. And thank you also for, we are, of course, also really happy to work with iShare Foundation. It's always a pleasure. We love to work in i4Trust with you. And yeah, with that, I would say thanks for the insights, and we will move on to Javi Esquior. Thank you so much for also being with us, and yeah, enjoy the next presentation.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Gerard, for the presentation and the site. It's a great intro for our use case that I will share right now. The base is a project that we are undertaking in Belgium with different organizations, customers and logistics operators, all together with some software developers and institutions, research institutions. Based on this, on the work that we are doing, this project aims at unleashing the power of data and the value of data for overcoming some of the barriers that we are finding in the project. That is about urban logistics. So I will expose the general challenge and the baseline for our use case, then how we aim to contribute to solve the problem using the E4Trust enablers, and then some business projections behind all this. Our issue has to do with the last mile revolution that comes with the digitization of consumption, and how this challenge conventional supply chains and the multiplication of destinations force them to develop capillary capacities in an atomized, very atomized working environment, without the resources for investing in all the developments that you have to do for coping with all the challenges that have to do with the operational reorganization of the supply chains and the reorganization of all these businesses that are working on this for coping with customer expectations. So, in order to address in an efficient way the new situation, viable from a economic point of view, all the players have to coordinate their actions with an increased need of going into real time and synchronize different operations, and they have to collaborate. Collaboration means that they have to rethink their business models for taking new decisions that impact their profits. The main barriers that we are finding is the need of standardizing the different systems, the languages that we use, to develop a new code of business. What we have to share in order to overcome these situations, what are the benefits, what are the risks, which rules, and what else we have to think about amidst an environment in which the culture and the willingness to collaborate is not there. And there is also lack of awareness, and this is a key point that has to do with data and the value of data, that the players that are driving disruption, they are doing it because they control data, they control the value of data, across all the value chain, and they are internalizing processes that allow them to take control over coordination and collaboration. And all this turns out a situation in which there is lack of trust for giving the state for collaborate. So we are developing a platform that aims at putting in being more efficient in giving answer to multiple customers through collaboration between different logistics operators, focusing to integrate psychologistics operators for the last mile with intercity supply chains. And the platform aims to optimize the different resources that different logistics operators put for giving answer to the needs of the different customers. But the first barrier that we find is that customers or the logistics operators that these customers are working with that need this development of capillary logistics, they use different systems, so there is a technological and a technical barrier there. We cannot integrate neither by default the traceability of different operators in a single interface, and then the equipments, the vehicles or the containers, the merchandises are not necessarily equipped with technology. So even if there is the will for collaborating, we are facing some barriers, and they are preventing us like to build this environment in which people are ready to share data. And why? What for? So in front of that, we are aiming at giving more visibility on the economic impact of collaboration, as well as the impact on environment and the availability of a real-time service. For doing that, we are developing a digital twin simulator that allows to, before piloting, to design different scenarios and compare the performances, and specifically what are the gains of collaborating, and then developing a central monitoring dashboard that allows to integrate the information that comes from different systems, from different operators and customers. So in a first stage, we are aiming to offer through the ISAR satellite and the I4Trust marketplace the service of the simulation, starting to develop this identity management functionality that allows e-share, and also to equip the different vehicles with IoT functionalities that also the I4Share platform allow us to use for, in a second term, once through the simulation, we have managed to visualize the profits of different collaborative scenarios that allow us, based on performance, to develop the contracts, the engagement between the different players to collaborate through the platform. Then going into how we can, being in the marketplace, we can get access to other databases that allow us to improve the services or develop new services. So in a first stage, what we are aiming is to make more efficient this conventional supply chains by integrating this capillary logistics through densifying the service of the actual companies that are doing these capillary services, which will allow shippers and sellers to be more competitive in their actual supply chains, cheaper for going up to the final customers. And then the project and the platform itself aims to develop a new database service that enables shippers and operators through the simulation, the monitoring of the vehicles, and the dashboard for monitoring the delivery service. And in a second stage, what we aim is to standardize through the platform how small companies in different cities focusing in capillary logistics that are invisible can be connected to any global supply chain allowing these shippers and sellers global supply chain to reach more places that today they cannot reach because they lack this service, capillary service. And then one of the main things that we would like also to explore in i4Trust is to go and check which other databases we can connect with. One, for making better our services, like introducing with the smart cities databases that allow us to improve our simulation functionalities, or which other databases can have more value by getting our data. So the main question is, which, as an alternative to internalize to this strategy of internalizing margins of the disruptors, which kind of governance of data value we can build for taking control over direct and indirect profits in our businesses. So that's all from my side. I make it short. If you have any question, don't hesitate.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for this other very interesting use case, data values for collaborative urban logistics. Really great to hear about. I think we can all look into the future or your vision of data spaces around logistics here. And with that, I'm very welcome to welcome. I'm very happy to welcome our last guest of the day, which is Nikolai Pappert from EDAC. Hi, Nikolai. Nice to see
Mark.
you. I mean, we've met the first time in October when physical events started over again, and you and EDAC joined us together with the CityBot, which we will see in your short video after we talked. And yeah, maybe you can just tell us, why did EDAC decide to join FIWARE for the two physical events in Hamburg and Barcelona?
Yeah, thank you, Max, for this event today that you invited us. Yeah, for us, FIWARE, FIWARE reference architecture and data models are extremely important, and we use them in public sector projects. And yet these standards are also completely in line with our mobility and transport concept, CityBot. And yeah, you know this from the event. Everybody saw the connection between these mobility concepts and standardizations. So I think we can show you a short presentation we prepared with our colleagues, and so you can have a better picture of the EDAC CityBot.
Yeah, perfect. I will start the video. So guys, enjoy, and thanks for preparing, Nikolai.
In my role as Business Development Manager Smart City at EDAC, I am very happy to be part of the FIWARE Smart Fest with my colleagues. EDAC is a global engineering service provider for the mobility industry with its headquarters in Germany. Over 8,000 experts are part of the EDAC team. But we are not only engaged in the development of vehicles or production plans, we have now built up more than 500 colleagues in the field of software and digitalization. Using the know-how we have acquired in the fields of mobility software, connected services, smart factory and smart city, we actively support the digital revolution. The title of this session is Accelerating the Data Spaces Creation in Logistics. With the EDAC CityBot, we developed a holistic mobility and transport concept to achieve our vision. The city of the future is clean, safe, livable, friendly, quiet and smart. You can now listen to more about this concept from my colleague Karina.
Hello, my name is Karina Schäfer and I'm a project leader for EDAC Smart City. I'm very pleased to introduce our EDAC CityBot to you today. We started in 2019 with the first developments. The EDAC CityBot is a multifunctional, fully autonomous robot vehicle with swarm intelligence, which is completely emission-free. Thanks to its modularity and multifunctionality, the EDAC CityBot can be operated around the clock, and there are numerous utility modules that can be fitted to configure it to meet requirements, for use as a passenger cell, for instance, or as a cargo carrier, or a device for city cleaning, waste disposal, or park maintenance, while at the same time achieving maximum ecological and economic efficiency through continuous utilization. The EDAC city bots move comparatively slowly, making them extremely energy efficient, and they have an emission-free fuel cell drive. The EDAC city bots are an integral part of a complete smart city operating system. Now I want to show you the EDAC city bot in logistics operations, areas in which there is no mixed traffic and where high service requirements need to be handled efficiently. The EDAC city bot might realistically be to use in this type of scenario from 2025 onwards. In highly automated warehouse and distribution centers, the EDAC city bot is able to cover the entire logistic process, from registering the parcels by scanning them and taking them off the shelf, to picking different packages for delivery and loading them into the truck. During the process, all data is collected in a software platform, permitting just-in-time executions of tasks and real-time data tracking. In this way, the EDAC city bot guarantees barrier-free material flows, including an accounting system, while reducing errors and accidents, and all of this without producing any emissions. Now over to my colleague Alexander. What is with the data spaces?
Hi, I'm Alexander Süßemilch, project leader for the development of smart city and mobility services and responsible for our startup accelerator program DriveMe. And I will show you two references how data spaces become reality. To realize a concept like a CityBot, it is crucial that data from different sources can be exchanged in a secure context and with standards. For us, it is important that the architecture of these data spaces guarantees compliance with important basic principles such as data sovereignty, traceability, protection, and data interoperability and secure authentication of all participants. In the context of these data spaces and smart city solutions, the mobility ecosystem of the future is emerging, in which the CityBot is an important building block. The already existing demo backend of the CityBot is at the moment under development to connect it to the data spaces via a connector. The CityBot provides data such as location, route, utilization for shuttle missions, transport capacity, availability for missions, and analyze data on mission utilization and traffic events in the FIWARE-compatible NGSI v2 format. This data can be visualized on the smart city dashboards or evaluated by city administrations. For smooth operation, the CityBot also needs a lot of data from other stakeholders in the data spaces, such as traffic flow data, message from sensors, public transport, journey data, and charging station information. In addition, it receives mission requests and operation commands from the web clients and apps. The second impulse we have is that we need to visualize the data to make it more tangible or imaginable.
For this, we have developed a framework that makes it possible to build dashboards and dynamically connect it to FIWARE components, for example, Quantum Leap or the Orion Context Broker. Dashboards are the direct interface to the data and the immediate possibility to draw added value from the data. Using a configuration wizard, widgets can be created for visualization without any programming knowledge, so a no-code environment. This is used to quickly visualize data. These visualizations help to make fast decisions, and all this in an environment that is highly customizable, responsive, and can easily be extended for further steps. One possible next stage of the development is, for example, to make specific visualizations and end customer services bookable directly from the dashboard.
The best thing, the dashboard is an open source project, so let us connect. Do we have more ideas for exciting use cases and projects? The possibilities are so endless. I would be happy to expand our network through this event and to find motivated partners to make these visions a reality together. You are welcome to contact us and discuss different engineering projects.
Yeah, Nikolai, great video, great vision, I think. I already knew the CityBot and all its functions. I think it's not only for logistics a great opportunity, also for mobility, as you mentioned before, the whole smart city. But of course, logistics also plays a huge role in that. We are running a little bit out of time, so just give me maybe one last sentence. What are your next steps towards data spaces and logistics?
For us, the next step is to bring it to reality, the CityBot, based on the FIWARE data platform. We will install a real lab near Frankfurt and want to test their one people mover and also logistical module. So that's the next step, founded by the German Ministry for Transport. So we are there running forward to bring it to the streets.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And I'm happy to see you in the ITS then again next year, wherever it will be, but hopefully in person again. And yeah, thank you all for joining our logistics session. I have to head over to the Smart Ports session because I'm also moderating that. So I hope they wait for me. And yeah, thank you all for joining and see you in the next session.
Thank you.